All right, it looks like the Kali Yuga is ended.
What's Kali Yuga?
I have no idea. I think that Kali Yuga has something to do with kind of like the end of the cycle.
Yeah,
it's like a
cycles.
cycle, and we're through an end, and hopefully I can learn something through this video. It's a very clickbaity title, and it's done by Sadhguru.
It's Sadhguru,
Yeah.
which we've, reacted to in the past on this channel. Spiritual stuff.
So yeah, I want to check it out. We'll check
And
it out with you guys.
Kali Yuga is like Kali, the god, right? It's like from the god Kali.
not-
It's like the end of a. I think Kali Yuga is like a bad age, like a brutal, violent age, and he's saying it's ended or it has
That's
ended.
what the title says.
Let's just watch it, see what happens.
All right.
These were called the dark ages because human beings did terrible things to each other. In which yuga you are determines how much etheric body. They're still talking, this is Kali Yuga, because Krishna said it's Kali Yuga. But how we create the next step or how the next generations live is determined by us.
Tense.
Well, this whole thing is going on, that at least in the news channels, they're still talking, this is Kali Yuga, because Krishna said it's Kali Yuga. When? 5,124 years ago. So since then, the cumulative aspect of Kali, which lasts for 2,592 years, is over. And Dwapara is also 2,592 years, that will get over sometime in 2082. That means another 58 years, is it? 58 years. Nearly 60 years. If you live for another 60 years, you'll see Treta Yuga. This doesn't mean on one day it'll become Treta. See, when we say winter, it doesn't mean one fine day it's winter. It happens. Summer, it's not like one day suddenly it became summer, it slowly happens. So what you're calling as yugas is a kind of a larger season, larger scape of seasons. In these seasons, in winter, trees are one way, animals are another way, in spring they're another way, in summer they're another way. Similarly, life on this planet will be different ways in these different yugas because this is a super seasonal system. So Kali is a time when we are furthest end of the elliptical cycle. Because of that, there are many ways to look at it. One important thing is, see, among the 5 bodies or the 5 layers of bodies that we carry, particularly with reference to human beings, the physical body or Annamaya Kosha, mental body or Manomaya Kosha, energy body or Pranamaya Kosha, and Vijnanamaya Kosha or the etheric body. The question is always about how much Annamaya Kosha do you have, how dominant is your Annamaya Kosha, or how dominant is your Manomaya Kosha, or how dominant is your etheric or Vijnanamaya Kosha. Accordingly, you will function. So these seasons in some way determine this. One…
I just had this funny thought, like, do you ever think that at one of these conferences, like where people line up to get Sadhguru's signature or whatever, or talk to him, that anyone ever comes up, like a nerd at Comic-Con and is like, I've been crunching some numbers, and Sadhguru was like, yeah, like when he's done this, is he like, nobody talked to me at all about religion, or nobody talked to me about, like the patience that it must take to talk about these things forever, and every now and then, you'd see like Osho kind of crack and be like, it's all bullshit. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's what it is. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm saying that I respect the patience, because sometimes even I'm like,
yeah. Well, I'm glad there's people that are willing to go out there and study this stuff and learn this stuff, because, like you said, I don't necessarily have the patience for it. And for me, I'm trying to look for like the nut or the like what's the diamond in here? What can I pull from this? And like, to me, the most obvious thing is that there's like a season to everything. And if Kali Yuga is the bad season, that represents something in your life that, you may be in a bad season now, but it's coming to an end as, it cycles around.
If it's 60 years from now, we'll be like, there it is. But, like he said, it's not like all of a sudden. I kind of like the idea of thinking of it in that way. It's not all at once,
Yeah.
Sometimes just reframing things in your mind can like bring you some stress relief, be like, maybe everything's perfect for the situation we're in. Maybe for those of us that are here, it's just right. And for those that come after, that'll be just right for them. We couldn't handle it, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know, just mixing it up. Because sometimes when it comes to these things, when there's math involved and numbers and like, I'm like, it gets a little bit math lesson-y.
Yeah, I hear you. But we continue on.
One can see in the 4 seasons that we see, in this country, at 11 degrees latitude, you may not notice it so much, but it is there. Only because they noticed it. Tamil Nadu has Margali Masam and Magha Masam, various other… across the country, everybody recognized that month as a low-spirited month, and so people are doing things to enhance themselves. But if you go to temperate countries, significantly different between winter situations and spring situations, phenomenal difference. You can't believe you're in the same world. If you go in the winter, like everything looks like it's the end of the world. Spring comes, boom, everything is back. So, at least in this part of the hemisphere, or the northern half of the hemisphere, it is like this. It is reversed in the southern hemisphere, but the same things happen. So similarly, in the super cycle also the same thing happens. But in terms of human beings, whether your physical body is dominant or mental body is dominant, energetic body is dominant or etheric body is dominant, depends on where these regular yearly cycles are also like that to some extent, but the super cycle decides a lot more. In which yuga you are determines how much etheric body. This does not mean it's a determining factor, absolutely. It is not an absolute, it is an influence. You can be in any yuga and be fantastic. You can be in any yuga and be a mess. This experience of all this is not a question of you being good or bad or you being… people are going about saying… See, the moment you have prejudice about something, somebody becomes a sinner and somebody becomes a saint. How does this happen? You set some values. If somebody cannot live up to that, they are sinners. If somebody can live up to that, they are saints. But these values keep changing from geography to geography, age to age, time to time, they're changing. That's not the important thing. The important thing is we understand that as we sit here, we are who we are as a consequence of what we are doing within ourselves. Now the question is only, is what we are doing within ourselves happening consciously or unconsciously? If we are doing it consciously, the consequence would be the way we want it. If we are doing it unconsciously, the consequence is random, and the random consequence may be sometimes very painful, sometimes troublesome to you, largely to others. Hello? If you start acting crazy, you're troubled of course, but you may get extra attention.
It's a good point, but although you can't predict outcomes, so even if you do something consciously, it doesn't mean that you have like full control over a situation. You're still, subject to the environment and the people and whatever's reacting to whatever choice you make, right?
Didn't Sadhguru just have like a brain surgery or something like that? Like he was like pictures of him coming out of the hospital,
something like that. This is older. This is,
and I'm not saying that to be some petty like criticizer. Although you could take almost any… Like, I respect Sadhguru, I look up to him. I'm watching his gestures and I'm like, that's cool the way he moves and talks and everything.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it is good to keep it real. It's a good piece of advice in terms of, like, what you do unconsciously, like…
Yeah.
Because the idea
you probably have a better chance of things working out better if you do it consciously.
When karma happens to you and you're like, oh, shit! Like I wasn't thinking it through, and now it's like upon me, and I don't like it. Yeah. That's real. But at the same time, wouldn't the most conscious thing be to be like, well, there's nothing I can't talk to past me. There's nothing I can do. You know what I mean? Like, I will collect the information from this karma that I've just had, take it easy, not like beat myself up, not be like, never again then. Because honestly, I'm telling you, there's people, again, who I respect. Yeah. That, like, I can't emulate because they're too perfectionistic. Like, I'm like, I dig that. They probably hate me. Like, fix your face. Stop doing that with your eyebrows. Like, just, study before you talk. And I'm like, never going to happen. Not going to happen. And I even respect how together you've got it. But you are you. And, you got to kind of do what's natural also, and what feels good, and what leads you towards bliss.
Yeah. He also kind of touched in on that what we were talking about in the last stoppage, where, like, you're almost... it's almost like you're made for the age that you're in. And it always brings me back to actually a Christian scripture, is that God will never give you more than you can handle. And isn't that the case? If you're alive and breathing...
No, it's not the case, because lest somebody ever, I can almost guarantee there's been somebody utter the phrase, "This is more than I can handle!" Catatonic from like, or scared to death, or, what do you call somebody that's been like frightened to death? Like, ah! They couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle what was put on their plate. But at the same time, I agree that humans are ridiculously homeostatic. Yeah. There's like people that have like had horrifying things happen, and they're like, I'm like a better person for it. Having something happen. It's amazing what people can bounce back from. Yeah. If you lean towards like bounce backhood. I say that as a hopefully potential encouragement.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
I don't know. I don't know if I terrified everybody or if I actually was encouraging. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we'll edit that out.
I don't know. Maybe I was just thinking with the being able to take what you're given there. Like, if you're dead, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
But if you're still ticking, you were able to take it.
But I don't know. But have you ever been in a place where you're like, this is you're not there now.
Yeah.
But sometimes I don't want to do a disservice to my past self that was like really struggling, like, help me, I'm not getting any help. Like, and then it like warps you and changes you. Yeah. You know what I mean? And from that day forward, I always had like a crease in my forehead from how painful that thing was, like scarred me for life.
You're still here,
lopsided now from it. Is that really God?
I don't think it's a way of like dismissing the pain of a situation. Yeah. I think it's just that you're here, you're still ticking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, maybe let's continue on there.
But others suffer a lot. People around you. So these aspects are not absolutes, but this is the general influence. Well, during the Kali Yuga, which ended 2000 plus years ago, these were called the Dark Ages, because human beings did terrible things to each other, and not only did terrible things, they did it large scale. That doesn't mean we did not do terrible things in Dwapara Yuga, we also did. But still, it is not the norm, at least we know it's wrong. That's a big difference. If you're doing something terrible, at least you know this is not the thing to do. You think that's the right thing to do, then it's a different case because there's no room for correction. That will become the way of the world itself, which is what it was in the past. Many things that we think is impossible that human beings can do were normally done in the past and accepted as the right thing to do. So…
I just wanted to edit what we were discussing there. It dawned on me that saying you can't handle something is not the same thing as not actually being able to handle it.
Yeah.
In reference to that verse that you said, God will never give you something more than you can handle, right?
Yeah.
I think you should take comfort in that verse, ultimately. Yeah. That's my final say on it, is that if that verse is a comfort to you, if it is, I think, then be comforted by it.
Yeah.
Because saying I can't handle this is not actually the same thing as not handling it. Yeah. Did you live to see another day?
Yeah.
Or when you when you died, did you not go to heaven? Or when some part of you died, did the part that lived on not live on?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't feel like you can handle it. I know that. I have compassion for that. When somebody's suffering, it's like all hands on deck sometimes. What do we do here?
Yeah.
You know, but if that verse brings you comfort, God won't give you more than you can handle. I think that you should take refuge in that and let it comfort you.
We are just close to Treta Yuga. We don't have to wait for it. See, it didn't wait. It's not yet summer, but already it's making us sweat. Why don't we also be one step ahead of times? Hello? So this is why it's very important. Whether the previous generations put the foundation for something or not determines how much the next generation will build, isn't it? This goes for a house, this goes for a nation, this goes for your consciousness. How much foundation have people will build will determine how much the future generations will do. So this is where we are in terms of time. You may not see the glorious palace that will be built on top of it, but at least you made the foundations and maybe you built a mock room and enjoyed it also, a little bit of palace, which we are beginning to in many ways. There are a whole lot of people going on propagating, life is getting worse day by day, life is getting worse day by day. But please look at it, how people lived here 500 years ago, how we are living today. Isn't everything better? Everything, especially ladies. You have to say big yes. Yes! Because for women on this planet, life has never been this good ever, all over the world.
Yep.
So, how we make the next step is in our hands. We are like this because somebody built something fundamental, so we have come to this place. But how we create the next step or how the next generations live is determined by us. So at a time like this, when I say at a time like this, when we are moving from one yuga to another, when the season is changing from winter to spring, we must be ready to blossom. Hello? In many ways, the times we are in are very significant because I may not see it, I will not see it, but many of you young people will see it, that we are moving from Dwapara Yuga to Treta Yuga.
Maybe I just misunderstood something from previous videos that we watched about the age of Kali Yuga, because it sounds like it's over. It sounds already past.
Kali Yuga's over, people.
Yeah, so…
Be encouraged.
That was very optimistic by the end, you know, a lot of good things, and I agree, you know, it's very easy to see things as like negatively when, you know, things aren't going right in your life, but if you look back on the past, I think we're doing better than we've ever done.
I don't know. I reserve the right to not know what the hell's going on, you know what I mean? One thing…
Is it not so?
Yeah, is it not so? Hello? You know? And I think about all the little, like, Sadhguruites that are, like, you know, emulating that, and you know, the behavior. For some reason, the thing I'm muttering, sputtering around like a crazy person about is emulating behavior, because I think about how erratic I am, and I'm pretty sure I've been, like, teased for how erratic I am sometimes. But… what good is it to you? What good is it if we came on here and we were just like PG as AF, you know, like PG, and just, you know, there would be a ton of people that would subscribe being like, he's promoting the thing I'm into, so I don't care that he's a lifeless corpse of a human that just sits there and is all gentle as shit.
Well, this channel wouldn't work because as soon as we reacted to something that wasn't that thing, that is the opposite of that thing, I think we find a good balance somewhere. I think we find a good balance somewhere in there.
I don't know what I'm doing, man. I reserve the right to not even be about truth. It's just, this is it. Let's leave it on an awkward, weird, undifferentiated note.
Sure.
I don't know what that was.
Let's do. And hopefully you like that thing. Yeah. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with a friend. And everyone until next time,
stay spiritual.